Hello.
Hello, is this Mr. Ventura?
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Dustin Wellness from KMSU Radio.
Hi, how you doing, Dustin?
I am excellent. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad.
All right, I'm here with my co-host, Ton.
Hey, Jesse, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I am excellent, thanks. I'm glad we got you on the show here today.
Okay, very good. Let's have at it, because I got to get out of here in a little while and go do ads for Gary Johnson for president, the Libertarian candidate.
Awesome. Well, I guess then, if you can, tell us a bit about your new book, Democrats and Red Bloodlikins. Am I saying that?
Well,
right?
you just got to vowel it out. You're not the first one. Re-Bloodlikins. Democrats and Re-Bloodlikins, and it's subtitled No More Gangs in Government. And what I'm essentially doing is exposing these two political parties for the frauds that they are. I expose them for the hypocrisy that they get things that you and I don't get. And I'm basically calling for the abolishment of political parties in our elective system. And if you read Chapter 2, you'll find that I have three pretty good allies that stand with me on this. They are George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams.
There you go.
All three made it very clear in Chapter 2, when you read what they wrote, that political parties could very well destroy this country. Well, we're not listening to them, and I think we're well on the way to that destruction.
Yeah, well, if anybody can get things righted here, I think it'd be you.
I'm not Superman. I don't have no S on my chest, but I will just, to me, I will expose them whenever chance I get. And hopefully, the problem is this. In the last decade, we've been made to feel that if you go against the government, you're somehow unpatriotic. It's the opposite. Thomas Jefferson, I believe, said dissension's the greatest form of patriotism. And I agree with that. If you don't hold elected people's feet to the fire, you will get bad government. So our job as citizens is to be vigilant, to watch our government, to hold them, make them accountable. That is patriotism.
Well, if there was one thing you could give, for advice for voters going to the polls in November, what would that be?
I would tell them, stop voting for Democrats and Republicans. They're the problem. They are not the solution. It doesn't matter. They always tell you if you vote for a third party or a third entity, you're wasting your vote. I'd like to reverse that thought process and tell people if you vote for a Democrat or Republican, you're wasting your vote because you're going to get the same government. It does not matter which one you elect. In light of our recent Supreme Court decision, which I believe is going to thoroughly destroy the country, when they said that corporations have the same rights as individuals and that money is a form of free speech, well, now you have a system that is totally based upon the concept of bribery. And if you do bribery in the private sector, you go to jail. But in the public sector, it's the status quo. And in light of that bribery that goes on, that's what I tell people. I can't urge people enough to join me in voting for former governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate for president. Because as long as we elect Democrats and Republicans, you're going to get the same old government you've had.
Well, since we're here in Minnesota, we kind of want to ask you some questions about your wrestling days when you were with Vern Gagne, the American Wrestling Association.
Sure, if I can remember back that long. I've been out of wrestling 22 years now.
Well, we're here in Mankato, and I know you guys toured around this area. I was wondering if you had maybe any memories of working in Mankato or anything that comes to mind.
Vaguely, in that business, there was a point in my career where I wrestled 63 consecutive nights in a row.
Wow.
So as you can tell, the towns all kind of run together after a while, and you can't distinguish one from the other. And so I can't pinpoint and tell you I have any direct memories of. I did wrestle in Mankato, I know, but I can't tell you that I have any direct memories of anything that went on in Mankato because, after 15 years in that business and literally making it to every state in the country, they all kind of run together after a while.
Yeah, definitely.
And plus, I'm not getting any younger.
Well, I've got to say, Jesse, for me, growing up and watching wrestling as a kid, favorite commentators ever was you and Gorilla Monsoon. Do you have any memories of those times, or did you love that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gorilla was a wonderful guy. He's, of course, passed on now. But he was wonderful to work with, as was Vince McMahon. You know, I worked with Gorilla for quite a while, and then I got bumped to what they called a promotion because Vince did the A, Gorilla and I were the B at the time. And then Vince saw how good I was, so he brought me up to the A team or whatever, and that was with him. And so I broadcast with both of them. And then, of course, Gorilla and I would always do the pay-per-view events because Vince wouldn't have time to do that. He had to be making sure everything was running smoothly. And so I have great memories of working with Gino. He was a terrific guy and a lot of fun to work with.
Awesome. I just have to say on a personal note that it was that commentary back when we were kids that is really the reason why I'm in the business of broadcasting today. So, well,
thank you. I'm flattered that that I would have an impact like that to get you to choose a career. So, thank you very much. It's but you know, it was good times for that time in my life. I certainly enjoyed doing it. But as I said earlier, it's hard to believe it's 22 years ago now, and I'm actually 61 years old now. And the thing I'm very proud of is that when I retired from wrestling, I never made a comeback. When I retired from wrestling, I moved on. I'm probably the only wrestler that can say that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that is nice. Do you think about wrestling at all anymore? I know it's been a long time, but I mean, do you have any opinions on kind of where it's gone or what it's doing these days?
Not at all. I don't watch it anymore. And the few times I'm channel surfing and I do see it, I mean, the talent is tremendous and all that, but I don't like the way they do these confrontations in the ring now. You know, in our day, you did all the talking with Gene Okerlund on the microphone,
right,
and you never saw the two combatants until the night that they met in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't even have announcers. These guys go out and go back and forth in the center of the ring with each other. I don't care for that. I don't like that aspect, the modern aspect of that part of the business.
Well, do you think you'll ever see yourself maybe involved in it again in some form, or?
It could happen, and it'll just require one very simple thing. You know what that is?
Some money?
Some money.
Pretty close. I like to refer to it as if Vince puts the decimal point in the right spot.
Then you can work
and it all depends how many zeros follow it.
Right.
No, but on a serious note, I don't think it'll ever happen. You know, wrestling is like all sports. It's a young man's game, and I've truly moved on. And I don't even know hardly the wrestlers who wrestle today. I know Bob Orton's son wrestles. But other than that, I don't even know any of the wrestlers today. So if I were to do it, I'd have to get a crash course of about a month to find out who the hell they are now.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, you're being a gem just for talking with us about these things. Another thing I've got to mention, can you talk to us about recording The Body Rules? That is like the greatest album of all time.
Well, I wouldn't state that. Actually, I did that because there was the Rock and Roll Wrestling Connection, and I was actually at a stalemate where I had done Predator, and Vince and I were fighting to see if I would come back, if he could contractually get me. So that summer, I had nothing to do, and so a great guitarist, Mark Orion, approached me, and we put together a band called the Soldiers of Fortune, and we made the picture disc, The Body Rules, and Showdown with Mr. V, and we also went out and toured that summer. We hit a lot of places. I called it the Manure Tour because we went out into the rural areas, and of course, if you live rural, you can always smell manure out there. And so we named it the Manure Tour. We actually headlined First Avenue, you know, where Prince did Purple Rain, and the Cove up in Superior, Wisconsin, and all that. And so I did rock and roll. It was fun at the time, and it was enjoyable because I thought that, wow, if you can pull off rock and roll, you can do anything, because really I'm not a singer or anything like that, but singing truly comes from your soul, though, because let's face it, Bob Dylan doesn't have the most perfect voice.
Yeah.
And so as long as you sing from the soul, it's okay to be one, and if you surround yourself with great musicians, which I did. Mark Orion was a phenomenal guitar player. Our bass player had played backup with Bob Dylan on Blood on the Tracks and all of this stuff, so when you surround yourself with great musicians, and actually my most famous song that made it, I had a song make it on Hitmaker's CD. I was sandwiched between Paul McCartney and Motley Crue, and we did a redo of Barry Maguire's Eve of Destruction. If you remember the first original Protest song.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's a great song, and it's still out there. You can probably go to the internet and hear it.
Oh, we'll find it.
To track that down.
Okay, yeah, look up my version of Eve of Destruction. Actually, Mike Plenn of Virgin Records flew me out to New Jersey, got a recording studio, and we did this whole thing, and he did it just on a lark to see what it would come out like.
Oh, man.
And it came out very, very good.
That is awesome.
He even had three black girls singing backup on the thing with me. It was marvelous.
Yeah, wow. We will definitely play it on the show. Also, you mentioned working on Predator, and you were in Running Man. You were in a bunch of awesome stuff. Working with Schwarzenegger a lot. What was that like?
Well, just it's movie making, you know. It's you go and it's all business. You're 10 weeks on a set, and you're focused to produce and finish a movie, and you know it can be rough. Like on Predator, we were on location down in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, but most of our locations were about an hour out into the jungles down there, you know, and so it was pretty rough country, and you work very hard because when you work on location like that, you generally work from sun up to sundown because time is money, and they want to get it done as quickly as they can. So anyway, guys, I hate to cut this short, but if you could a couple more questions, because I have more interviews coming, and I have to do ads for Governor Johnson for president here pretty quick. So go ahead, a few more questions. I'll be happy to answer them.
All right. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out. Could you let us know if you have anything else coming up, or do you have book signings or new projects?
I could tell you this. Conspiracy Theories back on the air November 7th.
Okay.
Awesome.
My TV show, 10 Eastern, 9 Central on True TV. We did 8 of them. They're going to air only 7. For whatever reason, they won't air the one that we did on the TSA.
Okay.
And I got a feeling I know why. Because they got something in store for you. I don't fly anymore because I'm through being treated like a criminal. I sued under my Fourth Amendment reasonable search and seizure rights. The federal judge threw it out of court and said she didn't have jurisdiction. So people need to understand, when you go to any airport in America, you are not protected by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, and you can't even know the rules of TSA to know if you're being abused. So people need to understand that clearly. Well, getting back to the TV show, we did a conspiracy theory on the TSA, and we learned that they're going to soon be giving you these wristbands, which will have all your vital information. So you won't have to go through all that problematic stuff at the airports anymore. Okay. Sounds good, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's the flip side. If you're wearing that wristband, they'll be able to drop you anytime they want because it'll act like a taser if they want to use it that way.
Oh, wow.
Man.
So you'll be walking around with this lovely wristband, and if you cause a disturbance or anything, or they don't like you or whatever happens, they can drop you down right on the floor.
Wow.
Yikes.
This is America today, gentlemen. It is not the home of the brave, land of the free anymore, unless we take it back. And the only way that's going to happen is stop voting for Democrats and Republicans. They are fully responsible for this. They've been in charge now for 150 years. How can they possibly blame anyone but themselves?
Awesome.
Excellent. It's been an honor for us to have you on today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work and keep our First Amendment alive and well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jesse.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.